This is Movie Division. Today I'm going to recap the horror thriller movie entitled Thirst. Spoilers ahead, watch out. The movie opens and we see a patient, Hae-sung, telling a story of how he gave his favorite sponge cake to a hungry girl and her brother and wishes to Father Hun that may God remember his good deeds. Hae-sung wishes to listen to a song, and as Father leaves, Hae-sung gets an attack and gets into a coma. Hyun meets his special father, a blind man, and reveals that he wants to do good for the people and save them because his closer ones have died and fallen into a coma due to some experiments. Hyun takes permission from his father and leaves to participate in an experiment conducted at a laboratory. Hyun meets the laboratory in charge, who informs him about a virus called EV. The doctor explains that the virus causes blisters on the skin and mentions other symptoms, revealing that in almost every case, it has resulted in the death of its victim because of blood loss. Hyun volunteers for the experiment and records his statement in front of a camera. Following that, Hyun gets the vaccine injected into his body and seeks forgiveness for his sins. As the day passes, symptoms start to appear in Hyun's body, and one day, he starts bleeding from his mouth while playing the flute. The doctor tries to save him but fails, and as the doctor declares Hyun dead, Hyun awakens and starts praying. 6 months later, Hyun is discharged from the hospital and gets surrounded by the people who consider him a miracle man, as he is the only one to survive out of 500 volunteers. Hyun is approached by Hyo-sung's doctor, who informs him that Hyo-sung was supposed to live for only 2 months, but it has been more than 1 year since he fell into a coma, which is no less than a miracle, and it was all possible due to Hyun's prayers. Hyun meets his father and is stunned to learn that people consider him a bandaged saint and pray to him, but Hyun wants the people to be cured. The next day, when Hyun is entertaining some kids' parents, a lady named Mrs. Ra approaches him and begs to see his son, Kang-woo, a cancer patient. Hyun prays for Kang-woo, after which Kang-woo reveals that Hyun is his childhood friend, and his mother recalls when Hyun used to visit them as a kid. Hyun spots Kang-woo's sister and wonders if she is still the same shy girl. Following that, Hyun is seen at Kang-woo's house with his mother and Taiju. When asked, Ms. Ra informs Hyun that Taiju is the adopted girl, and she married her to his son. Hyun feels sad for Taiju, as she is very pretty, but is married to a lunatic. Suddenly, Kang-woo arrives with his friend, Young-do, and his wife Evelyn, introducing them to Hyun. After Mr. Ra arrives, they all have dinner and play a game together. Hyun notices that Taiju is treated well in her house, and Kang-woo also disrespects her in front of everyone. Hyun keeps looking at Taiju and catches feelings for her, after which he returns to his house and punishes himself for having bad intentions for Taiju. After that, Hyun gets visions of his sinful life and falls unconscious. And the next day, he wakes up after feeling his back burning in sunlight and observes that his blisters are returning. Hyun gets invited to pray for a girl who's in very critical condition, and during prayer for her, Hyun secretly tastes her blood. Later, when Hyun feels no one is around, he drinks Hae-sung's blood and looks at his blisters, disappearing from his face. We learn that Hyun has seen transformed into a vampire due to the EV experiment and suffers no harm even after jumping from a tall building. On his way home, Hyun encounters Tae-woo running barefoot on the roads, and he picks her up easily to give his shoes to her and looks at the fresh blood in her vein. Hyun returns to his father and explains that she has become a vampire, showing him his ultimate healing power. The next day, Hyun visits Kang-woo's home again and feels that Taiju also likes him. As Taiju leaves to visit her tailoring shop, she is stunned to find Hyun already there. Hyun gives a pair of shoes and tries to seduce him. Hyun tries his best to avoid her, but Taiju forces him and gets called immediately back by her mother. Hyun looks at Taiju getting beaten by her drunk mother and leaves, guiding her to visit him on a Sunday. Hyun meets her father and reveals his sin of touching someone's wife, but the father stops him and asks him to be careful. On the other hand, Hyun convinces her mother to let her volunteer at a hospital on Sunday and reaches the church to see Hyun. Hyun takes her to the hospital and reveals that he is sick and all the issues they have between them. Taiju accepts everything and they end up making love to each other. After that, Hyun informs her that he is a vampire, which scares Taiju and causes her to flee. Hyun approaches Taiju while she is in the washroom and asks her to accompany him, and it doesn't matter that he is a vampire if they love each other. Taiju is afraid of him, and Hyun leaves after Taiju is summoned by her mother. The following day, Taiju agrees and contacts Hyun. Hyun gets a few bottles of blood from Hae-sung's body and meets Tae-woo. He explains how blood helps him get rid of the blisters, and Taiju asks him to jump off the building. Hyun grabs her and safely lands on the ground despite jumping from a height. After that, Taiju tells him that his mother and Kang-woo beat her, at which Hyun thinks of killing Kang-woo. After a few days, Hyun meets Mrs. Ra and gets permission to stay at their home after leaving his religious affairs. Ms. Ra allows Hyun to stay with them, and Hyun and Taiju spend more time with each other. One night, Kang-woo realizes that Taiju is not with him, so the mother locks their door outside to prevent Taiju from leaving the room. Hyun enters Kang-woo's room, enters through the window, and attempts to kill him, but Taiju stops him. After that, we see Hyun, Taiju, and Kang-woo on a boat, fishing in a restricted area. Hyun asks Taiju to decide whether she wants her husband dead, and when Taiju allows him, Hyun jumps into the water along with Kang-woo. The hook is stuck in Taiju's ear, and she starts bleeding while Hyun kills Kang-woo. As Hyun returns, he smells Taeju's blood and starts drinking it. After that, Hyun gives her one more chance to think about whether Kang-woo's death is necessary for their happiness, and Taeju agrees. Police arrive at the crime scene and learn that Hyun and Taeju have survived the accident while Kang-woo has died. Police investigate Hyun and leave him, charging him for fishing in the restricted area only. Hyun is seen on the streets when he reaches a camp of people waiting for him to pray for them. Hyun listens to their miseries but flies away from there. Hyun meets his father and explains to him a situation that the vampires are mortal too, and he will face as many complications as he is going through, but the father is desperate to get his eyes back. As father attempts to drink Hyun's blood, he stabs a pin into father's heart and recovers his blisters. After that, Hyun throws their father's dead body away and meets Taeju in the hospital to guide her staying away from her. A few days later, detectives visit Ms. Ra and reveal that although they couldn't find Kang-woo's dead body, he's surely dead. Suddenly, Hyun arrives there, due to which Ms. Ra panics and gets paralyzed. The doctors treat her and suggest her complete rest as she cannot move. On the other hand, Hyun and Taeju spend their time together, but both feel guilty about murdering Kang-woo and get scared, often remembering him. One day, Taeju just called from the detective who traps and rapes her. After she returns to Hyun, he smells other man's semen and becomes suspicious of Taeju. Hyun and Taeju celebrate Ms. Ra's birthday when Taeju gets slapped for slapping her mother because she never gave her a birthday party. Hyun orders her to feed her mother and thanks her for giving her enough to eat. Taeju gets hurt and accidentally reveals that Kang-woo never beat him. Hyun gets infuriated with her for lying to him just to get her husband killed. Taeju blames him that he was going to kill Kang-woo either way to get her. Taeju returns to her mother and reveals that Hyun is the one to kill her son, and he will consume her blood, too, because he is a monster. Hyun loses his calm and throws Taeju away. On being asked, Taeju confesses that she wants to go to her husband. Hyun chokes her neck and kills her, but then realizes he loves Taeju, so he makes her drink his blood and brings her back to life. Taeju likes being a vampire and passes the lie detector test easily. Following that, Taeju turns evil and kills the detective who raped her and drank her blood. Hyun feels that he has made a mistake by turning Taeju into a vampire and abides her from killing people. Taeju does not listen to him and leaves to drink more blood, but Hyun injures her while trying to stop her. Hyun informs Taeju that he has made a mistake by turning her into someone like him, and now he cannot control or kill her. After a few days, Hyun develops blisters on her skin, and when she complains that Hyun informed her that she could not be affected by EV, Hyun reveals that their blood has become the same. Hyun invites the doctor for a checkup, but Taeju stabs his neck and drinks his blood while Hyun notices Young Do, Evelyn, and Mr. Ra coming to Miss Ra's house. Hyun and Taeju welcome them, and when they plan in Mrs. Ra's company, she reveals to her friends that Taeju and Hyun have killed her son. As Hyun and Taeju's cover is blown, they cover up all the windows and doors, and Taeju kills everyone. But before she can kill Evelyn, Hyun stops her and asks her to leave because the police will catch them after learning about 4 people going missing. Hyun pretends to kill Evelyn, after which they leave the house with Ms. Ra. Hyun takes them out of the city, and Taeju realizes that Hyun has lied to her about killing Evelyn when she notices the blisters on his face. Hyun stops the car near the camp and pretends to rape a girl to let people know he is not a god. After that, Hyun drives the car out of the city, and when Taeju looks at the time, she gets afraid after learning what Hyun has planned. She tries to hide from the sunlight as it is dawn, but Hyun throws away the door. Taeju keeps fighting for her survival, but nothing affects Hyun. Hyun drags the car in front of the sun, where Taeju finally accompanies him. Ms. Ra keeps looking at them, and they both burn as the sunlight appears and hits their bodies. The movie ends after Hyun and Taeju are converted to ashes completely. If you enjoyed the recap, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell to get notified when we post the next fascinating recap. It really helps our channel and encourages us to make more quality videos for you. And don't forget to comment down your favorite part of the movie. Thanks for watching!